If there's one thing I know about you, Brian, is that you're incredibly good at making interesting statements about terrorism over the years. And one of the ones that I use a lot in my podcast and in my blogs is this statement you made. I don't remember when you made it, but you said, terrorism is theater. What did you mean by that then, and what do you mean by it now?
Well, to put the date on the citation, I actually wrote that in 1974.
1974?
And that was in 1974. I'm 107 years old. But much of my writing is really thinking out loud. That is sharing with the reader what I'm thinking about, how I'm thinking about it. And well, I appreciate the compliments to some of these felicitous phrases that come to me while I'm running or in the shower or wherever. Those are often really an attempt to sum up what may be paragraphs or even pages of thought, sometimes meandering. And it's an effort, in a sense, to restate in the most succinct fashion possible what I've spent the last 2 paragraphs or 2 pages thinking out loud about. In that particular case, the point I was making is that terrorism differed from other modes of conflict, armed conflict. In conventional warfare, the violence is aimed at the opposing forces, and it is an effort to reduce their actual physical capability to continue fighting. Now, it also aims at their morale as well, but the attacks are directed at military targets, fighters, their supply lines, their depots, their weapons emplacements. Terrorism was very different. Terrorists could not really take on militarily superior foes on the battlefield. This had to be hit and run violence. It was intended really to create a psychological effect. The actual targets of the terrorist attack, the actual victims of the terrorist attack, other than a broad symbolic sense, had little importance to the terrorists. They didn't know who they were actually attacking in terms of hijacking an airplane or blowing up an airplane. The passengers, their identities were immaterial, or putting a bomb in a cafe or a bomb in a bus. The target of the violence, as opposed to whom the violence was aimed at, the target of the violence was the people watching. Terrorism was aimed at the people watching. And in that sense, terrorism was theater, deliberately choreographed violence to achieve dramatic effects that would cause people to exaggerate the strength of the terrorists, the importance of their cause, that would create an atmosphere of fear and alarm.